to an old guy playing games. My channel usually has me playing games, but today I thought I would talk a little bit about my thoughts on Dragon Age: The Veilguard after about 20 hours of play. So if you're new to the channel, welcome aboard. If you've been here before, I hope you appreciate me taking time to do something a little different, and it's not going to be gameplay when I'm talking about the game. So like I said, about 20 hours of gameplay in, so plenty of game yet to go, plenty of time for things to change, but short version, I think it's a good game. I think it's a great game. As I get into some details here, I'll probably compare to some other Dragon Age games at some point, but overall I think just looking at it alone, it's a good game. So let's see, in no particular order, I just threw some notes out here, and we can start with the character creator, and there's certainly plenty of videos you can look at where people talk about the character creator, all the things you can do with the character creator. If you're the type that wants to get your character in the game just so, you could lose hours playing in the character creator, getting it just right. And then my understanding is you can actually save that so you can pull that appearance right back into the next time you play, when you start a new game. So if that's your thing, they've really done a nice job with that. Let's see. Next thought I had here was just differentiation between the classes. I have a few concerns about that because every class has some big wow moves that do big flashy things. Every class has some melee capability. Every class has some range capability. And I mean, I gotta be fair. So far, I've only been playing a rogue. I'm 20 hours into my first game. I haven't had a chance to play the different types. But I am concerned over time about how that's gonna affect the feel of the classes at the very least. I have a feeling more of the differentiation is going to really come from how you choose to specialize the character and the character's background. That's going to cause probably more differences than the class per se. I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing. It just is what it is. Companion growth was my next thought. One of the things I really loved in Dragon Age Inquisition was watching the relationships between the companions change over time. Some of them start almost antagonistic. You're putting up with each other because we've got this big problem to solve, and you see that antagonism grow to some grudging respect, or maybe even become friendship during the course of the game. I really enjoyed watching that. It's important, especially roaming around some of those large maps. Those companion conversations, you could watch that develop over time. I'm only 20 hours into Dragon Age Veilguard, but the characters have all started at such a level of almost respect and friendship. I mean, there's some room to grow there, but there's not a lot. So I'm a little concerned that part of the game I really liked in Dragon Age Inquisition, I won't see as much in Veilguard. There have been a few moments. I've come across some conversations going on between companions, usually in the lighthouse, where some things a little uncomfortable get said, but they're not antagonistic. It's more a matter of people getting to know each other and accidentally stepping on a hot button. These things happen in life. I think I've seen some people talking about the graphic style of the game, and all I can say is, yep, it's different than the other Dragon Ages. Every Dragon Age has had its own new look, its own new feel. You'll either like it or you won't. I think it's perfectly good, and to be quite honest, that's all I ask. Hey, the cry for quality has to be good, and then the gameplay is what matters. So if you're not going to play the game because the graphic quality isn't what you want, I mean, they go with this style art instead of that style art, well, that happens, but the gameplay comes first for me. So that said, I think it's perfectly good graphic quality and perfectly good look. But I've also seen them talk about the return of some of the existing characters, so and I have to admit, some of the appearances have changed a fair amount. I mean, we can talk about Harding, but sometimes supposed to represent Varric, he's significantly older. I mean, it's 10 years, and he was not a young man in Dragon Age Inquisition, so I mean, that's some of that. But I mean, Morgan looks different, but there are enough the same and enough other cues going on about who this person is that there's no question about who she is before she even opens her mouth. I'd say the same for Isabella, even though, frankly, Isabella was like in the scene for a very short period of time and then gone. So not quite the big splash that Morgan had. Dorian, on the other hand, I really was like, if it hadn't been for the voice, I would not have known who this was. It would have taken me a long time to figure that out. I think I didn't appreciate that big a change. The fact that you're making a different style, you have a different style of graphics is good. That you're trying to show some time has passed is good, but man, Dorian is just very different. So let's see, combat system. Combat system works. It really makes it easy to fire up combos between the characters. Unlike the other Dragon Ages, no ability to take direct control of one of your teammates and have them do very specific things. All you can do is tell them to use this skill on this target. That's all you can really do. Well, you can tell them to attack a specific target. But unlike Dragon Age Inquisition, if your character went down, your control jumped to one of the companions and you can keep going and maybe get yourself back up and do some things. Combat in Dragon Age Veilguard is definitely about you. There's no evidence of damage being done to your companions. It's just damage to you. What happens to you? I kind of miss that kind of tactical abilities that had. On the other hand, they've added some other tactical abilities. So yeah, and to be, it's new, it's different. Every Dragon Age has been. I have adjusted to it, and it's fine. We'll see where we go from there. And to be honest, this old guy here, I have trouble blocking well, so it's probably just as well I'm playing a rogue and spend a lot more time dodging than blocking at this point, but we'll get the hang of that eventually. Dragon Age Veilguard is definitely mission based. I mean, I'm 20 hours in, some of the areas are opening up so you can kind of wander around in them a little bit, but instead of being, the big open spaces of the hinterlands or the hissing wastes or whatever that you had in Dragon Age Inquisition, it feels more like a maze of passages, underpasses, whatever. The areas are not near as big. I think I appreciated I find it hard to believe for me to talk about open world. I don't play a lot of open world stuff in general. All that seems to be changing. I've always liked BioWare's ability to kind of do what I call quasi-open world, which is, it's an open world, but they kind of put some good guardrails in there so you don't get too far off the farm. But I've spent too much time sometimes just figuring out how to get from here to there on these maps because you have to go this way instead and cut under here and do this, and sometimes it's just it turns into a maze, and it's not my style of what I want to do. Soundtrack. Anybody who knows me knows that, well, let's just say a whole lot of my music library is made up of soundtracks from movies, TV shows, video games, you name it. It is where I spend a lot of my listening time. Dragon Age, like each of the Dragon Ages, has had its own unique feel, and this is no different. It's Hans Zimmer and Lorne Balfe, and if those names mean anything to you, that's probably all you need to hear to kind of go, this is going to be one heck of a soundtrack. And it is one heck of a soundtrack. There are a couple of those tracks that if I just listen to them, I've got the album. If I just listen to that track the next day, I still hear that track in my head. It has that good of an impact on me. So, soundtrack just truly amazing. Uncomfortable decisions, choices that really matter kind of issues. I mean, I'm 20 hours in. There haven't been a lot of opportunities for that. There's been one really obvious one. I don't want to get into spoiler territories. I mean, you will run into it probably somewhere around the 15-hour mark or so. You're going to have to make a decision, and you're going to know at the time, the decision is going to make one of your companions happy and the other companion very unhappy. And there will be long-term impacts with how those characters can develop. If there's some more decisions like that along the way, that's really good. If there's not, then it's kind of wandering away from what I expect from BioWare, which is having to make some ethical choices or some difficult choices along the way. I'm going to re-record the kind of wrap up here because some other sounds occurred that we're just going to re-record this instead of trying to figure out how to deal with that. So overall, game's perfectly good. I recommend getting it. If I wanted to, I could certainly pick out some little nits to pick on, but that's what they would be, little nits, little irritations. And like so often happens when I see people arguing, talking about this irritation in this game, how they don't like this, I go, yeah, but that's exactly the thing I like. So, what's irritating to me is what somebody else is buying the game for. The key point is whether those things become a problem or not. And there's nothing here so far that I've thought is a problem. So my recommendation is, if you've got any interest in this kind of game, this is worth playing. It's worth getting. If you'd like more content like this, please like and subscribe, and have a good one.